Just think for a moment of the level of brazenness of these people who thought they could get away with something as stupid as altering lines in an email. Anybody with a sense of how computers and emails work would realize that the digital signatures all over, you can't get away with something like that.
You know, one of our earlier stories we did, 72, 73, at least we were conscious of, was Watergate. You know, you can't believe it. It is happening exactly like that. It starts with indifference, then it starts with minor levels. In this case, of course, if you call this Watergate, it will be literal because of the leaking stadium. So you'll probably have to call it Leak Gate or something of that sort. But the issue is really, we must not even now be diverted from the principle of accountability. It is accountability, it is people's funds, people's money. What is happened to that? When you talk of, you know, this is not the end of the story, it's a beginning. For example, we've heard about the Australian company and so on. I mean, I would like to see, as a journalist, who owns those companies? What are the linkages? Why are there arbitrary decisions taken? Why is there no bidding process? Why did you delay so long in order to take a decision and then say you don't have time? All these things, actually, what might be called the circumstantial evidence is becoming so strong that I think, and with the credibility having been destroyed, I think it'd be very difficult to escape criminal liability and criminal process. And when that happens, we don't know who will talk about what. I think one of the reasons why the system or the establishment is a bit nervous, rightly so, is because all it now takes is the person who is accused, again as happened in Watergate, to start. John Dean, nobody remembers the name John Dean. John Dean was counsel for Nixon. The moment he was under pressure, he began to blab and say, all right, Haldeman is also involved. And in this case also, there will be somebody. Eventually, he will crack and start naming names which who knows extend.
Well, they're all leaking level. In any case. More than the stadium, it's the organizing committee which is leaking. Which is how these reports all coming out.
Lalit Bhanot, who is the, I mean, who knows what he's involved in? I don't know, frankly. But I now begin to raise questions.
Okay, I want to bring in Dunu Roy into our debate. He's the director of Hazard Center. You've been studying, Mr. Roy, the expenses being incurred on various fronts in the Commonwealth Games, and now you're looking at this report that Headlines Today has access to, the overlay expenses. What sense do you make? What's your understanding of the level of overpayment that Suresh Kalmadi and company have been doing?
Well, you can just look at the figures. It starts with 1,770 crores as the original budget. It's now officially climbed up to 20,000. Other people have been counting. It went up to 30,000 last month. We accessed a Ministry of Tourism report which says very clearly that the cost for hosting the games is 87,500 crores.
That's Ministry of Tourism.
A Ministry of Tourism report. 87,500 crores. We've just been counting. We've been adding up figures. My team has been taking all the figures over the last 3 years. We find it's already crossed 92,000 crores, and we are still counting. It might go up to 120,000.
Wow.
So if you look at this, you know, the Commonwealth Games village was supposed to cost 400 crores. It's already crossed 1,500.
And we interviewed Mr. Dhindsa, who said today, he's the person who's supposed to put the village together. He said today the flats are not ready, the furnishings are not there, and Kalmadi and Gill are to blame.
It is. And so now the stadia was supposed to be refurbished at 1,100 crores. It's already gone up to 5,000 crores. Yeah. So you can see that the numbers are multiplying and there is no accountability as to where. So to answer your original question about whether Mr. Kalmadi should be displaced or misplaced or whatever, my answer is no. And the reason is he's presiding over the biggest private-public participation project in this country. It's private-public, I think, because it's taking public money and putting it into private pockets. That's the whole project. And if he's presiding over it, he has to be accountable. Because if he's not accountable, and if he doesn't start spilling the beans about who else is accountable, we'll never get to the bottom of the story. So I would say no. And the second point about whether these deals should be cancelled, I would say no. Let these deals go on a little longer. We need to find out who's spending this money, whose pockets are they going into, and what the public of India, the nation, is paying for this national prestige.